Oh yeah, man. I am back. I am back. I am back. All right, I'm back. Man, this is your boy Leon. This is Real Estate Lunchbox. I got this new setup that I'm working with, man. I got this new setup I'm working with. But I think when I have this done, I'm gonna be able to do what I do for you a little bit better. But I got a lot set up today. We're gonna talk a lot about what's going on. We're gonna talk about what's happening over here in Venezuela. We're gonna talk a little bit about Trump and what he's looking at doing right now. Because I love Donald Trump, man. But we got a lot of good things to cover. I had no idea how many people were opposed to this Venezuela freedom, but I don't think they're opposed to it. I think it's more or less they're wondering if Trump is becoming a dictator going into different countries. But the reality of it is the same Democratic Party that most of you guys support, they do the same thing. They just don't let you know what they're doing. And they're very, very sloppy when they do it. Yeah, very sloppy. So, man, let's talk a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about, Nicki Minaj. Bro, I tell you, they just keep coming after Nicki. I don't know what the story is. Man, if you're gonna join in, please comment, leave a comment below. Super chats are always welcome, definitely always welcome. And I'm getting ready to get this rocking today. I had a great weekend, had a great Christmas break, great holiday, great hanging out with the family. We did some really great stuff. It was really cool. Not too much going on. We're just vibing. My wife was able to do a live stream last night on my other channel, which was dope. And man, I'm cool, bro. I'm thankful to God for all that He has given me and done for me. And no. Hmm. Nah, I don't want to do that. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's see this. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Your boy is live in this right now. And man, yo, I'm up to about 1,000 subscribers, yo. We're about to hit 1,000 subscribers. And the way I kind of see it, man, I'm gonna keep doing this and I'm gonna do it the way that I feel in my heart to actually do it and bring you guys kind of my version and my perspective on what's going on with a little bit of real estate, I guess, in there too, because I love talking about both global politics, local politics, real estate, the whole thing. Yeah. And I think it's great because I get to share my perspective on it. And then from there, always looking at, always appreciate any feedback that I can get from you guys in the audience too. Appreciate you so much. Boom, boom, boom. I don't know, but here we go. We're going to take it. Let's start off with, man, okay. We're going to start off with Tim Walz, okay? Let's start off with Tim Walz.
Congratulations. Well done.
Tim Walz, he made the run that no other. I don't know how these guys get into these positions. Guys, help me to understand. How do you guys get into these positions? In these, what'd you call it? Government positions. And you know that you're gonna bend over, okay? You're gonna take it in order to get into those positions. And then you're gonna run for higher level offices in the land, vice president. And you're gonna run and you know you did a lot of fraudulent stuff out there. See, you gotta be the most shameless, I believe, in politics. I keep saying this. You gotta be very shameless in politics in order to be successful in politics. Meaning you can't care what people think about you. But at the same time, I think you do have to have an idea and keep up with some of the drama, some of the stuff that you actually jumped into, right? And I don't know how he figures he can jump into uh, all of this fraud, like know that it exists in his own state as the governor of that state, and then attempt to become the vice president, and you don't even make it. Like you run a failed campaign, so and in the middle of that failed campaign, you talked a lot of smack. Like you talked a lot of stuff. You talked a lot of stuff. See, would it be the same if Tim Walz didn't talk all that shit that he was talking? Would it be the same? I do think it would actually be the same. No, but I think it would, on the reverse side, Tim Walz would be in that position and nobody would actually care because Tim would actually be in charge. And that's really it. But we're in this place right now. Tim is not in charge. He's not. Tim is never going to be in charge. Tim, your time for being in charge is over, man. It's over. And I'm trying to figure out how is it that this can happen. But I don't know anything. You know, I'm just that guy. And if we didn't have people like Nick Shirley who went down there and actually uncovered a lot of this crap that's going on, then we would not have known the level of fraud that was actually there. And you can still go to CNN, and CNN is still trying to discredit a lot of what Nick Shirley spoke about. But Tim Walz, man.
Major breaking political news out of St. Paul, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Tim Walz will not seek re-election as governor, and what a fall from grace this has been for him. You might recall in the spring of 2023, he pushed through several progressive ideas to the state legislature that caught the attention of Barack Obama, who went to Twitter to give his endorsement for the programs, which eventually caught the attention of people like Kamala Harris, who chose him to be her running mate as the vice president. Introduced in Chicago at the convention in August of last year, a debate that was an absolute disaster with J.D. Vance at one point called himself a knucklehead. But after reportedly billions of dollars have been stolen from taxpayers, by way of the state of Minnesota, Tim Walz says he will not seek a third term. What a remarkable 2 years in the national spotlight has been for him, Dana.
And Walz hit Trump in his announcement. He said Donald Trump and his allies in Washington, in St. Paul, and online want to make our state a colder, meaner place. They want to poison our people against each other by attacking our neighbors. And ultimately, they want to take away much of what makes Minnesota the best place in America to raise a family. Now, okay, what else has been happening in this last month? Well, you have the discovery that there has been incredible amounts of fraud, and I think 98% of the people arrested were Somalis who are...
Okay, so let's get into this real quick. I truly believe that the reason why he's stepping down, and I've heard some other commentary on it by some other reaction people, you know, but when I look at what's taking place, I do believe that's true. It is an establishment play. Because if you don't have the backing of the Democratic Party, the DNC, you're not going to go too far. You're not going to go too far at all. I mean, they're dress right dress, especially if you're talking about what's taking place in New York with Madani. It's not a good look on the party right now. Not at all. There's nothing about it that's a good look on the party. Nothing at all. So for that reason, Tim Walz has to step down. Tim Walz has to take that position and step down. Check this out. Look, I'm running this other one on the other side. I'm learning this. I'm learning how to do it. But yeah, Tim Walz has to step down. You remember that show that was called The Good Wife? There was a show that was on CNBC, and it would actually, no, not even A Good Wife. Remember House of Thrones, House of Cards? That was on Netflix. It's still on Netflix. If you've never seen House of Cards on Netflix, go check it out. Because I keep saying House of Cards on Netflix is one of those things that really, truly depicts the back end to some of these political parties. So think about it. In if you don't have the backing of your party, you cannot run for position, okay? And you can't maintain position. Eric Adams experienced that same thing. That's why he had to jump ship and go over to the Trump side, okay? So you have to be in line with the party. And right now, the party is completely left. It's full of left young people that want free shit and don't create anything. That's really what it is. And Tim Walz, who was the oldest white man that I've seen in the Democratic Party that tried to actually be young. Like, he just actually tries to be that young grandpa. What do you call him? The father, America's father, you know? Man, this is the game. Once you're in this political move, you get what you get. And he opened himself wide open running for presidency. I think it's for VP, it's that aspiration, that desire, that, man, I got to make, it's always ambition. That ambition can kill you. And that's, in my position, if Tim Walz, my perspective, if Tim Walz never ran for that position, he never ran for it, VP, Tim Walz will probably be doing pretty good right now. Tim Walz wouldn't have an issue. Nobody would be looking at Tim Walz. Yeah, Trump would be out there looking at whatever, but I don't know. And maybe Tim knew that Minnesota had so much fraud in it that he said, hey, I got to run. It's either win or bust, because they might come after me if I'm not in that position and I lose. Okay. But then again, I say, if the Democrats had won for some sheer reason, then would they have shielded him? They probably would have. It probably wouldn't be as deep as it is right now. It probably wouldn't be. But if CNN could actually make this go away, they would. But they can't.
Are immigrants there in the state that were taking COVID funds and basically and Medicaid funds and stealing them from the American people under his watch or his lack of watch. And now remember, Kamala Harris chooses him as the vice presidential choice, partly because he couldn't conceivably upstage her. She says in her book that she didn't want to go with Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, who because he was Jewish. She actually says this, okay? And then she goes with Tim Walz, and he was a disaster from beginning to end. He also has a lot of confidence in himself, but I think that it was very clear to him after he had some discussions over the weekend that he would lose. He was a drag on the Democratic Party nationally, and the best thing that he could have done for the party, actually, and probably for him and his family, is to take this action today, which is to decide not to run for re-election.
So the initial reporting suggests $1 billion has been stolen. Since then, that number's gone higher.
It's higher.
How high, we don't know where it ends. And there are suggestions that it could be similar in other states. Mary Catherine Ham.
He's got to be complacent. Like, he knows already that they're going to keep coming. They're not going to stop. And I guess his options when it comes to running for re-election would be non-existent. See, I low-key feel just like in New York, they're going to slowly try to move in these Mandani-like candidates. Okay, candidates. Let's try to say that 10 times. Mandani-like candidates into that position. And why is that important? For them, they have to now begin to shape the narrative, not just of what young people are saying in New York, but this is the voice of young people all around the country. And affordability is a big thing. And the communist socialists are here to help you. That's the narrative I believe that they're going to begin to slowly shape. They're doing it in Seattle. New York just gave them a big stronghold. That's really what it did. I mean, the stronghold there's always going to be a stronghold when you're talking about advocating for free. And who's going to fight you? Who's going to fight you? It's easier to talk about that. So I think whoever's going to take his place, that they're going to back going into that new election in Minnesota, is going to be as far-leaning left as the New York mayor is.
Joins us now with an initial reaction. MK, good morning to you. What do you think? Tim Walz?
Well, Yeah, I was reliably told that he was a great fraud fighter and that in fact the fraud was minimal or not happening. So I'm confused about how it suddenly became a fatal blow to his campaign. And I'm actually not confused because the fact is that the numbers were gigantic. This is perhaps unprecedented amounts of fraud. And he does have to answer for it because he was on watch the entire time. And I think it's unlikely, given the scale, that anyone who had power in the Democratic Party at this time, of which the Somali community that was engaged in this is a core constituency, didn't know about it or at least turn a very blind eye to it. And man, the fall from VP candidate to this is quite spectacular.
You have to wonder what the Minnesota Democrats are thinking, and they might be thinking this. It's reported that he met with Senator Amy Klobuchar over the weekend. And Senator Klobuchar has been trying from Washington, saying back home, you've got to get a handle on all of this. She is considering a run for governor. Perhaps they met and she let him know that he would lose in a primary to her.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think she would be a better choice than Tim Walz. She seems like the kind of person who wouldn't put up with this. But again, I would say anyone who was in power in the state of Minnesota had to know that some of this was going on. Whistleblowers were being very upfront about it.
So he definitely knew. Without a shadow of a doubt, this man knew. He knew. He had some idea, some concept. They're coming for every single person that, and this is what I believe, I can clearly see the writing on the wall. Every single person that had some participation in ignoring this level of fraud, being complacent to it, being a part of it, it does it in any way, shape, or form, they're coming for them. So that means Ilhan Omar will definitely guess what? Ilhan Omar is in the line of sight right now, and she knows it because she is the next one who is going to
folks,
be.
as you see from the
She's the next one they're digging into.
Times reporting and elsewhere said basically the 2020 mind virus kept us from pointing out that this was happening because we were afraid, because it was happening in marginalized communities, we couldn't stop them without being called racist. That is a total abdication of duty. And she's a senator from that state, so she had duties as well. So although she strikes me as a tough lady who can talk tough about this, there was stuff going on while she was on the watch as well.
Mary Catherine, there's reports that Somali Americans number about 100,000 in Minnesota. And it's our understanding that you can't win a statewide race unless you have their vote. And you just mentioned the accusation of racism. And that's pretty much what the message was out of Minnesota. Anybody who was pointing fingers at what was going on there, you were accused of being a racist. Well, now that cover has been blown.
See, and that's the thing. When African Americans, well, you don't understand this. Whenever you use that word racism, where somebody is racist, you got to know that it's racist. You can't, when I say racism, you've got to know that person did this specifically, because now it becomes the boy who cried wolf. Okay?
Oh no!
If you don't know the story, the boy who cried wolf, if you totally forgot it, rehash it. The boy cries wolf, and there's no wolf, but he wants the attention. And in this case, you have these people that use wolf as a shield. Okay? I mean, that's the best way to put it. You cry wolf, oh, let's leave them alone. And they left them alone. From, 2018, 2019, 2020, it blew up. Of course, we know already, going back, I believe, to Obama's era, or even starting with George Bush, they brought in a huge amount of Somalians into the United States. I think during Bush's era, it was somewhere around some crazy 25,000, 50,000, probably 100,000 Somalians into it. Just collectively, we're not talking about Somalians just going to Minnesota, spread throughout the whole country. So over that course of time, that's been a voting base for Barack Obama, definitely Kamala. We knew that. Biden definitely had a voting base there. So when you see something like this, you kind of got to scratch your head and wonder, how is it that these guys got away with this for such a long period of time? How is it? It's got to be the leadership, and he knows it. And Ilhan is next. They coming for you, Illy.
Right, and some, in fact, who were accused of things either threatened to sue or sued, saying, "Hey, we're being discriminated against because you're noticing the fraud." But the numbers don't lie, and the numbers aren't racist, and the stats matter, and every single dollar that is not stewarded by those.
You can't cry racism and there's no racism. You can't. You have to know that this is a racist issue. You can't, because when you do that, when real racist issues pop up, and they do pop up, you have no power. You have no leverage. And right now, this is the thing. This is the thing. You can cry on TikTok, and I'm going to cover that too because I've got some commentary. I've listened to some of you guys on TikTok. You can go on TikTok and cry as much as you want and say that they're coming for brown people, they're coming for African Americans, they're coming for them. You can do it as much as you want. It's becoming numb. Like it's desensitized. Okay. Desensitization can actually now play against us in situations where we truly actually do need it. Because there are people who are racist motherfuckers out here. There are. And they don't care. Even people can say it. Now, I don't believe in the systematic racism portion right there, but when you take people like that and you put them in certain positions, and then it's their mentality and their ideology, it's not a systemized system that's set up. Their ideology and their mentality now keeps you out of the flow of those things, out of those job positions, out of those different positions, because you have those clusters who build other relationships with people that are like-minded. Now you say it's systematic, and you see it as being systematic, but these people may not even like each other. But when you cry wolf, you take away all the power from the word racism. You take away it from it. And so it's easy for people to say there's no such thing as racism, which I've heard Candace Owens say and make those statements before, which I totally disagree. Now, is there a plot to systematically? No. If anything, as Black people, African Americans, minorities, people, we get into a certain position, we learn certain things, and we keep it to ourselves. You got Tyler Perry. Now, this is another rant. I'm going all the way down there. I'm not going to go too far off the topic. But let's go back to this, and I'll talk about that, because I do believe that a lot of the economic ignorance would have been dealt with a long time ago if there was truly a community amongst African Americans which tore each other from the wealthiest on down. But the wealthiest get the secrets, and they keep it, and they give it to you in books for you to buy, but it's still not the nitty gritty. It's not the true.
Who are in charge of these programs is stolen from another Minnesota or federal taxpayer who could have used that dollar for honest means and for something productive instead of fraud. So it's really a catastrophe to have that taken from people who are already struggling, maybe to, I don't know, pay for childcare, and it's going to non-existent childcare.
Also, I mean, it is difficult for any politician. Look, there's a reason I don't run. I don't have the stomach for it. But when you become a national laughingstock, and every meme is about you because you were chosen because you're going to show the Democratic Party that you were the masculine part of the party. There's all of that. But there's one thing deeper on the fraud that I want to point out. Keith Ellison, former...
I don't know, some of y'all bored it, but I never could buy the fact that he was the masculine part of the Democratic Party. I wasn't buying it, dude. I wasn't buying it at all. I just couldn't buy it.
Congressman is now the Attorney General of Minnesota. And I've mentioned this a couple of times, but it's been a couple of weeks, so let me just bring it back up. And 10-minute drill, the podcast has a lot more on this. He is on audio tape, leaked audio, personally promising fraudsters that he would pressure the government to continue funding the fraudulent enterprises and promise to shield them from investigation. So the apple is rotten all the way through and into the core.
Whoa,
and so
whoa,
do Republicans have a chance?
Run that back.
Are you saying leaked audio, personally promising fraudsters that he would pressure the government to continue funding the fraud? One thing deeper on the fraud that I want to point out. Keith Ellison, former congressman, is now the Attorney General of Minnesota. And I've mentioned this a couple of times, but it's been a couple of weeks, so let me just bring it back up. And 10-minute drill, the podcast has a lot more on this. He is on audio tape, leaked audio, personally promising fraudsters that he would pressure the government to continue funding the fraudulent enterprises and promise to shield them from investigation.
See, they coming for all of y'all. The Attorney General of Minnesota said that, and they got him on leaked. They got him on leaked audio actually even saying that. That's terrible. That's horrible. So that means everything going from the governor down to the Attorney General. I mean, damn, we're gonna look definitely rotten. We definitely know. I already told you they're coming for all of them. Every last one that did not say, hey, I knew about this. I tried to let people know. Here's the written evidence of it. You're in line of sight. Like, you're in line.
So the apple is rotten all the way through and into the core. And so do Republicans have a chance? I'm just saying, are you saying there's a chance that Minnesota could finally maybe turn a corner? It's been a difficult one for Republicans for many, many election cycles.
Look, I think even in a blue and purple state, even a very blue state, when you get to this level of abuse of the taxpayer, yes, Republicans can have a moment if they seize it. Ellison is a great example of exactly what you say, Dana, that people had to have known about this while it was happening. And in fact, he was talking to the very people doing it and making promises to them. So that can change voters' minds about where they're willing to swing. Republicans, however, have to put up a person against, whether it's Klobuchar or whomever, who can fight that fight. Lisa DeMuth, I believe, is the head of the Republicans in the House in the state, who had declared a long time ago. And then Mike Lindell, I think, is prepared to get in the race, or is poised, or has announced such. So you have to be careful about who you pick on your side as well to make this competitive.
MK, I'm sure you follow this video over the holidays. This father-son team, McShipley, they were showing up at these daycare centers where there were no kids. And a lot of folks in the media went after them for their reporting, as opposed to asking their own questions as to why you're receiving millions of dollars and had no children to show for it. Last comment on this.
And that's, right, look, that's what they did. And that's what they're doing also with Trump, with Venezuela. It's going after the story instead of trying to, and I would respect CNN a whole lot more if CNN actually went after the facts. Like, if they actually went after it and said, okay, we found that this is true. We've got 3 out of 10. We've got 5 out of 10. It's not true for all of them, but it's true for this based on our investigative reporting. I would feel a little bit different. But I've lost all respect for mainstream media. I barely hold on respect for Fox, honestly. I mean, I like News Nation, some of these other ones that are not so mainstream, simply because when they get these walking points, nobody sits back and says, hey, does this actually make sense? Nobody actually says it. Nobody says it. They don't say, I don't think we shouldn't be doing this. We probably need to go back into win the respect of the people listening to us by giving them some really good commentary, and then also some doing some really true, significant investigative reporting. But they don't do that. They just go and attack whatever the narrative is, even if there's truth, even if the narrative isn't true. Even if what's coming out is true, they still don't even recognize the truth in the narrative at all. They don't. And I think it's been years and years of conditioning and training, years and years of training that makes them think like this. You got to realize the mainstream media programmed a lot of the country with propaganda for decades. I don't know if you get a chance, go check out that show Mad Men. Remember, I don't know if you ever get a chance to check it out. It's on AMC, Mad Men. Sometimes it can be boring. When you check it out, you got to just be in the mood for it, because it's literally the 1950s they're playing characters of, but they're in an advertising firm, and the way that they sell things like cigars and cigarettes and shampoo, it was intentionally programming the minds of the people, intentionally programming the mind. So they don't view cigarettes as being as harmful. It's less harmful than crack cocaine or something they will contrast it to, you know? So from the media aspect of advertising all the way to the news propaganda machine, which over time has changed, they knew and they understood, and the CIA and FBI, some of these other I'm sure, covert. And you're like, Leon, why are you calling them? Why are you even saying that? If you're so like you love your country, I love my country. And I do recognize that in order to stay in a place where our United States is still a superpower, there are certain sacrifices that need to be made. Now the question is, how far do you go with that? That's when we, where we meet in certain places. But if you look at the way they were programming just through advertising to people, then they turned around and moved into media and programmed, and that's what has been programming of the people, programming of certain narratives, certain things trend on TikTok, on YouTube. Other things that you think would trend or should trend don't necessarily trend. Now, those other topics may be as polarizing and as important as some of these things, but still, even in the midst of me doing a reaction video to this, we're still talking about what's trending on mainstream media. And they chose that out of 5 or 6 other stories that came out that day. So they can change and try to direct the narrative in different ways. And it's just recently, since now have YouTubers, podcasters gained so much traction amongst the people, that we see now, you'll get a Nick Shirley and someone popping up there with a camera and filming everything that's taking place, and they've got to attack that narrative. They've got to attack the credibility. They've got to say, hey, he wasn't in that place. So we can't think for 1 second that the true story of all of this just comes out because they put it out there. Okay. And it will take people, and I think this is the thing that makes them the most afraid. It will take people, and it's going to take people having these conversations, boots on the ground, about what's taking place. So they can, the ones who can go out there, because that's what you got to do. You got to go out there and actually show up there and actually pull on the doors and actually look at it. When I looked at it and I saw Nick Shirley talk, it was one particular one. This guy was actually arguing about whether or not, he said that the kids or his clients don't typically come in until 5, 6 in the evening up until 10. What he's saying is he runs a night care daycare facility, which I can understand in certain metropolitan areas. That's a big thing. That's a very big thing. But does that account for all of the slip ups? No, I don't think so. I don't believe you can only have but so many night cares facilities taking care of kids, because the parents got to work in the evening. You only can have but so many of them. Okay. Not everybody can be that. Not everybody. But that was his argument when I think CNN showed up and he tried to let them know, hey, yes, this is legit. So I don't believe in a city as big as Minnesota that people were reporting this and it fell on completely deaf ears. Some people who had the power to change it just totally ignored it.
Glad it went viral because it brings attention to something that deserves attention. Local reporters had worked on this in the past. Investigators in the Republican Party and elsewhere had worked on this in the past, but it really caught fire, and it should, so that a lot of people know this is happening. And this is a sort of a reflection back on Kamala actually went after in her government capacity in California, a guy who blew the whistle on Planned Parenthood with similar kinds of videos and reporting as an independent journalist. They don't like that stuff when it turns against their party and the people who are bringing in money for them.
All right. Well, Mary Catherine Ham off to a roaring start in 2026. Thank you for joining us on this breaking news as Tim Walz pulls out of the governor's race in Minnesota. Thank you.
Okay. I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian.
Yeah, I'm going to throw this up because Walz is out. The Democratic, by Walz leaving, we're actually seeing
Critics are all
the rebranding, the active rebranding of the Democratic Party, in my opinion. This is the active rebranding of the Democratic Party because Tim Walz is completely leaving. We saw Nancy Pelosi retire. We're going to see more and more older establishment Democrats start to retire. The more the party leans towards the younger voter, we've seen them lean towards the younger minority voter, the younger voter that in many cases, minority, not from here, born in the U.S., or in some cases, they're not even citizens of the U.S. We see that. But we've seen that happen. So I suspect that this is the rebranding of the Democratic Party, period. Now, what my belief in this, whether you're in a metropolitan and you're a real estate person and you want to be an investor, you need to know what's the dominant party in that area that you're going to buy in. So historically, I think I've heard black people say things like, hey, I'm not going to buy in Johns Creek or Alpharetta and some of these places north of the city of Atlanta, because I'm in Atlanta, so we're going to talk about Atlanta, because it's too many white people there, or they're racist up there. And I'm going to tell y'all, that's the complete opposite perspective you really should have. If you're someone and you're not going to contribute to that community, meaning you don't take care of where you live right now and you just want to be somewhere to get away from black people, but you really don't want to be somewhere where you actually contribute to bettering that community, you're going to have a hard time. You're really going to have a hard time. But knowing that certain areas lean more right and lean more left allows you to understand and know. Like, I was listening to an Exodus. Let's talk about the state of California. California as a whole, they're causing small investors to actually leave, period. Small investors don't want to buy houses in California anymore because it's just too expensive. From the taxes to the insurance to all these living pieces, it's just too expensive to actually own that property. So I had an investor reach out to me recently, wanted to get down with a DSCR loan, a funding loan, to now be able to do things like he was trying to buy a piece of property in South Georgia. And he had the contract. He just needed to close on it. Now, the smartest thing I told him he did was not buy in California. California is not friendly to the investor, at least not the mom and pop investor. You can't get rich in California off of it, but you can still get rich in some of these pockets like Columbus, Macon, and you can build some real serious, steady net worth. You're not going to run up a bag and buy a house at $70,000 and think you're going to be rich, but you will get steady cash flow off of that $70,000 piece of property because that's a blue collar working establishment. To know that, you understand that they still lean a little bit more Democrat, even though it's in a pocket of the South, because the income in that area is typically lower, but you have that mix between lower income that vote more conservative and lower income that are more liberal. And unfortunately, it's still a little bit more liberal, but everybody people pay their bills. They have a big crime issue in Macon, and we're talking about Macon specifically, but yeah, they pay their bills. You can at least have a property on the market for rent consistently. Okay. Things like that are going away, and it's going to become harder and more harder to build those tiers of portfolio unless you're going after creative financing in this type of conditioning. When you jump into Patreon, we'll talk more about that. I love creative financing. Follow for more content on that. We'll talk more about that too, because those creative deals are coming. They're coming. Just like if you're in the market right now, you need to be in stocks. They're coming. Things like that are coming. These are more opportunities when we see windfalls of cash coming through the federal government when they say in these refunds that we can take advantage of now, putting it into real estate. They're looking for us to deploy that into various assets. That's the reason why. Some people will catch up on bills. Some people will use that additional extra funding that comes through their refund to deploy into assets. And I'm saying do that. But getting back to what we're saying right here, totally. We're seeing now that smart money is going to be leaving some of these states, some of these cities like Minnesota. They're going to struggle. And Trump, I truly knows and understands that. I think the worst thing they did was to go after Trump the way that they went after him. All of this is spillover from that. And it's going to continue to spill, and we're just at out of the first year going into the second year. I believe and I predict that in this 3-year run, we're going to have a massive unearthing of a lot of fraud like this. But let's go deeper. people like Ilhan Omar, who has gained unprecedented amount of wealth off of God knows where. I know, being in that position, I truly believe that the wealth comes and lays at their feet, and they got to find a way to get it into their hands through some of the vehicles that they have available to them. Hence, that's why Nancy Pelosi can have 177 million on her assets. We have people that worked I think they make up to about 150,000, 175,000 a year. We have people that make that much that don't even see 177 million. But you got to say it's inside trading. So people like her, like Ilhan Omar, who's probably knee deep in that shit, through her husband's many corporations that I've started to read up and research more about. I would advise you do that too. They're coming after her. So don't say that it's racism when you go from being 3 years ago, 4 years ago, you're only worth under $1 million. Now all of a sudden you're at 30 million. Crazy.
Also asking why Congresswoman Ilhan Omar's husband reportedly purged key officer official details from his $25 million venture capital firm's website. Now, this move comes amid growing questions about the couple's wealth and possible connection to the welfare fraud. According to her latest financial disclosure in May, the couple's net worth surged 3,500% in just 1 year. It estimates now putting it anywhere from $6 million to $30 million. Their net worth went up 3,500%.
This is public service, right? This is public service. This is the money. This is the bag that you make from public service. All you guys that want to get in, this is why you get all the Jasmine Crockett's doing what she does, the antics, the excitement. Public service. Public service, you make a bag like this. This is public service. This is the person now, I'm telling you, they're going to look into this because it makes no sense at all. Makes no sense at all.
How do you explain that? And then talk about the scrubbing on the website. That doesn't look good. What's Walz doing about that? Is he looking into this?
Well, certainly not. I mean, he's certainly supportive of whatever they're doing. And this is one of the other things that we need to address is the extent to which members of Congress find themselves getting wealthy while they're in Congress. In this case, it appears by being completely in bed with all of the fraudulent activity that's going on in Minnesota. Of course, we should investigate this.
Before social media and investigative reporters, just the mom and pops would get out and with their camera rolling and say, hey, I'm here and this doesn't look right. When we started doing that and having more candid conversations with people on the street, they cannot run and they can't hide. The only way to actually shut up and change this is to change the face of social media drastically. The TikTok algorithm didn't help them in any way, shape, or form. And the reason I say is TikTok initially came out, and based on the topic that you had, the algorithm pushed it out to people that were like-minded or they could relate to that algorithm, that topic. Now, YouTube, Instagram, even Facebook, the grandpop in the room, they're doing the same thing on digital with post. So you can't hide anymore. It's hard. At one time, you could post in your group to your 200 or 1,000 followers, and you may only get 50, 25 of them that actually see it. So that post didn't really go too far. It took someone to share it to their network, and they shared it to their network, and then it blew up. But man, this is one reason why also I believe why some of the tech companies are mad at TikTok, because to compete with TikTok doing that, YouTube had to change the way that they built their algorithm also. Now, hence, you can drop a video that's 20 minutes, 15 minutes into the YouTube algorithm, and these people may not, it'll show up in people that had like-minded algorithmic, I'm making that word up, I guess. but they had interest in whatever the topic was that you were speaking of. And that's changing the face. So in the past, and I went and I saw this, they had been speaking about Ilhan Omar's fraud for a long period of time. This is not a brand new conversation. 3-4 years ago. But the algorithm brings it back now 3-4 years later. And I'm seeing these conversations, these topics, because we were focused on, keep in mind, when you have all of this excitement taking place, the Venezuela happening, the Somalia happening, the Minnesota things, all the other things, remember I said these stories are taking place. All these other stories are happening. This is 3 years ago, 4 years ago, they were talking about Ilhan Omar, but Trump overshadowed all of that. So that news cycle came and went so fast. So they were safe. It ain't safe. It ain't safe. It ain't safe no more. I'm telling you, it ain't safe. The tech companies that they're mad at, the billionaire, man, they say the billionaires, the tech, most of you guys are tech guys, right? Most of them are tech. Right now, tech. That's how you have like a Elon Musk at X, the guys at Alphabet, Mark Zuckerberg. These guys now, they're garnering the disrespect of the liberal left, not just because, okay, they're the liberal left and they don't like them because of their money, but their money and the technology is exposing so much shit and bringing back into remembrance for people on so much shit that they gotta be mad at them. They gotta be upset. They gotta be upset. Hey guys, like, follow for more content. Hit me up with the super chat. Let's talk about whatever you want to talk about. But it's not just a hatred for billionaires. It's not. Because they get money. You better damn well believe they get money. Ilhan Omar, I think the winery that her husband had on the books was less than 500,000. All of a sudden, the shit is freaking millions. Millions upon millions.
Of course, should we look into what they're scrubbing from their website? I think we've got to explore this as far as we can, including potentially looking into denaturalizing and removing Ilhan Omar if she's violated our laws.
Wow. Denaturalize her. That's denaturalize her. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Wow. God, help me. Help me. Yeah. And Trump's going to have a good ass time because you got to see Ilhan Omar. What's these guys, what they set themselves up for? They're their own worst enemy right now. I kept saying this and I kept saying this and I'm going to continue to say this. This is nothing more than a lot of the shit y'all put out at Trump. A lot of the stuff y'all did. I don't think they really understood what they were doing. The same political game that was played on Obama, with Clinton, with John F. Kennedy, some of these early games, these ways that they do in politics, you can't do that shit no more. Politics has forever been changed. The landscape of politics has forever been changed. And if you are not in tune to what's taking place on the political landscape, all the way down to being a high schooler, like I ask my daughters, what do they talk about in school? What do they talk about? Immigration. What's your response? What's the views of the kids? These kids' views they're nurturing these views and perspectives in the children all the way from high school going into college. I want to know what they're talking about. I want to know what's the big topic. I want to know, yeah, they're young. What's their perspective on it? What's their perspective? This thing that we've got going on, I really pray for America. I really do, because to really understand socialism and where where the country's attempting, one of the major parties, the second major party, it's not the first no more, the second, they're on a run. major party actively are putting socialists who prize the collective over capitalism, which prizes the performance and rewarding the individual for their contributions to the masses. They're saying no, there's no individuality. We're all the same. Everyone should be equal, because they don't freaking know how to deal with the money. They are fueled and followed by people who have piss poor financial education also. And if you, instead of saying, I don't know shit about money, I don't understand how to make money, I don't understand how to be a creator, how to create cash. There was a post by, and this one was interesting, by Elon Musk, and he was clowning how we're dealing with people who don't create shit getting in positions and dictating to the people who create shit. See, I keep saying this. God created us to create, guys. The issue of socialism wouldn't exist if we came to the realization that creation is the normal part of the human design. We create everything from menus for our children to eat. We create everything from narratives and stories to sell to our spouses or loved ones when we don't live up to certain expectations, or when we do, hey girl, shoot, your man, I'm gonna tell you how it went down. We are birthed from the creator. Creation, whether you like the personality of the person that it comes from, creation, look, I start this shit, and I didn't even come in expecting to talk about this, but creation now is really what we're arguing about in a whole, because we create, but somewhere along the lines, in order to create, you have to have a level of imagination, and people stop dreaming, and when hope leaves the room, you can't create shit. You can't create nothing. Yeah, let me hit that.
Oh no.
Yeah. You can't create nothing because you're hopeless. You have no hope. You have no vision. So you can't see down the line. And that's what I see, a bunch of people who have no hope and no vision. Now, when we go and we look at what happened in Venezuela, okay, we can see clearly. Now, I was going to do this one. Yeah, let's do this other one. We can see clearly the response of people who come from a society where they are penalized, ostracized for the liberties and the freedoms which we take and we hold so closely and so dearly. I remember seeing reports, and let me go right to this one. I remember seeing reports on how Bitcoin affected, let's go with this one right here. How Bitcoin was able to make and cause people like Venezuelans who lived in Venezuela, who, God, unfortunately, the instability of their currency and the crazy, chaotic shit that was coming from their federal government, they couldn't keep their money in cash. I'm looking for this story while I'm on it right now, because I'm gonna run this. Yeah, let's run this one real quick. They couldn't keep their money in cash. And we don't even see that as being an issue in no way, shape, or form.
I wonder, Mr. President.
Like we think that
Welcome
that's
back into Live Now from Fox.
okay.
My name is Karala Hara. Thanks for joining us on this Monday, January 5th, where we are continuing to follow the breaking news story from over the weekend.
Moving moment by moment.
As we are checking the crypto market.
Yeah. So we don't even know that Venezuelans had to take their money and turn it into crypto in order to stabilize the massive swings that were in their currency. We have no idea, because we get up and we go to the store and we buy milk and we're upset that it goes up about $1 or it goes up $1.50. And I feel it in my household. My wife's like, hey, the milk has gone up 30-40%. She's like, it's higher than what it was. Eggs is higher. So we look at that and we say, oh man, and we get upset. These people in third world countries like Venezuela have to park their money in Bitcoin, which is one of the most unstable currencies. Bitcoin is at $93,000. I just snapped this today. This is right here, 93,000. Bitcoin probably 2-3 months ago was pushing 120,000, 115. Imagine having to put your money, your currency, and park it in something so unstable. Y'all like, hey, Leon, that means they can make money. Yeah, but you still got to get the money also off of the exchange and into a level of currency that you can purchase, and damn, pop up with US dollars and then get a bunch of questions about where that money came from. So we don't recognize that. We don't recognize how socialism has and tied with cartel activity, because it's not just socialism, communism, not just that ideology. It's so tainted and so corrupt that it'll actually go and partner with cartels to accomplish what is looking to get accomplished, which is some crazy idea that everybody needs to be equal and that the people who you're here to serve are really supposed to serve you, right? But this is the effects that's taking place. Look,
higher across the board, Bitcoin and others rising after this weekend's events. Mackenzie Sagalos is here to talk about the price action in the crypto market. Mac, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Frank. So after months of tepid price action, traders are betting that the U.S. capture of the Venezuelan president could ultimately bring more oil to global markets. Venezuela is sitting on an estimated $17 trillion worth of untapped crude. And if that oil starts flowing again, it adds supply, puts downward pressure on energy prices, and eases inflation fears. That is bullish for risk assets like crypto. Now, Bitcoin isn't an oil hedge, but it is sensitive to the same macro forces that oil drives: inflation, rates, and liquidity. When oil shocks feel inflationary, Bitcoin trades like a high beta risk asset, not digital gold. But when crude rolls over, Bitcoin benefits as risk appetite improves. Now, in terms of technicals, Bitcoin has reclaimed its 50-day moving average, a level that traders watch to gauge short-term momentum. The recent upswing also triggered a wave of short liquidations over the weekend as bearish bets were wiped out in the rally.
So imagine now, you got a rally. Bitcoin starts to rally because of what's taking place in Venezuela and the change. Because keep in mind, Bitcoin will always, and this is why China is going to have an issue too, in countries that try to outlaw Bitcoin, and Venezuela's tried the same thing too. Bitcoin goes to where it's safest, and then where it's not safe, where people tax it, where they discredit it, where they outlaw it, it becomes more desirable. And that in turn also drives up the scarcity of Bitcoin. So imagine waking up one morning and you've got $100 in Bitcoin, and you go through your day, you probably use $5, and now, just like here in this swing, it drops over the course of 30 days. Like the very next day, it's done from you had 110 in there, right? And you're down to like 95. Damn, that's hard. That's freaking hard. That's what they were dealing with in Venezuela.
It is a sharp contrast to the Iran strikes last summer, when fears of a Strait of Hormuz closure sent crypto tumbling. This time, though, the prospect of more supply on the horizon is being read as disinflationary and risk on.
All right, I want to talk to you about Venezuela a bit. You've done some reporting on this. Venezuela has been an early adopter of crypto as a currency and use of it. Does this create a tailwind for crypto adoption, not only in Venezuela, but just more broadly?
So there is a second order crypto effect here, where since for going back a decade now, my reporting was back in 2017, because of spiraling inflation of the Bolivar, a lot of people had turned to cryptocurrencies, mining Ethereum and Bitcoin in their homes in order to just have a stable source of cash. But the other side of this is the fact that there are multiple reports that the government itself has been looking to evade sanctions by doing sales of oil in Tether, which they then move into Bitcoin. And so much of this market moves on sentiment. So even the promise that perhaps the U.S. government, when they came in, might seize these assets, hold on to it, that's a bull case for Bitcoin if you have a stockpile such as that that isn't being liquidated.
All right, very interesting stuff. Very quickly, because we got to go. Is it a tailwind for just Bitcoin, or also Ethereum, Solana, and some of these other coins?
It's a rising tide lifts all ships. In fact, XRP has had outsized performance. And when you see one altcoin do particularly well, it really is one of these signs of a risk-on environment. All
right, Mackenzie Sagalos, great to see you as always. Thank you very much.
All right, cool. Man, I'm sorry. My other, I got two computers on the setup. One I'm
moment by
on,
moment out
and
of
the other
Venezuela.
one,
The de
and that
facto
went
leader
down,
there
so
has.
I had to jump over to this other one real quick and get it up here. Hold on. Hey, like, subscribe, follow. Hey guys, I'm gonna make sure I get this up because I needed to have this other computer with me because it really helps me making sure that when you guys do live super chats, I call you out for sure. And I said I was gonna do this from now on. So yeah. But what's happening in Venezuela is, let's go ahead and make sure I'm back in this too. Yeah. So when we look at how unstable their currency is, you got to think about this. So when I see CNN, they do some real stupid shit like this, right? When I see CNN do this.
Now, for the first time, appeared on camera, demanding the immediate release of Nicolas Maduro and his wife, calling their capture a kidnapping. Right now, meantime, Maduro, in that image, you see him. It was posted by President Trump. He is on his way to the United States to face drug trafficking charges in the Southern District of New York. Meanwhile, the vice president of Venezuela, Maduro's vice president, her name is Delcy Rodriguez. She just spoke. We've got the audio in now. I want to play for you what she just said to Trump.
We demand the immediate release of President Nicolas Maduro and his wife, the only president of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela.
Coming out against Trump. And that is extremely significant, not just because she saw what happened hours ago to the guy on top of her, but also because President Trump, about 2 hours before that video came out, said that Delcy Rodriguez was on board with the U.S. plan. He said that she was willing to do whatever is necessary to, in his words, make Venezuela great again, and that she was doing what he wanted here.
See, so they intentionally sow this discord. They don't even give props to him for actually capturing a Venezuelan president, the Venezuelan president. They bring up a topic about the VP immediately wanting the release of the president. And you think that that people aren't stupid, that we're so stupid and we don't recognize. Of course the VP would say that. Yo, if you got a cartel head of a freaking country and that cartel head now is removed. And guess what? His VP's in place. You don't change the regime. You only change the person that's over the regime. Do you think I'm going to sit back if I had a conversation with you about coming in and getting this guy? You think I'm going to sit back and be like, hey, I don't want you here. No, I want you to go ahead and get him out. And I'm going to tell everybody that I opposed it. Because you got to paint that narrative. You got to paint that. Because it makes her look bad in front of every last single cartel head person. If any dirt that he was doing, working with anyone, if she even gives the hint that she's not opposing U.S. action, they will wipe her out.
He is.
Who's going to take over? I mean, there is nobody to take over. You have a vice president who's been appointed by Maduro, and right now she's the vice president, and she's, I guess, the president. She was sworn in as president just a little while ago. She had a long conversation with Marco, and she said, we'll do whatever you need. I think she was quite gracious, but she really doesn't have a choice.
Okay, we'll do whatever you need. She said to Marco Rubio, and that she really doesn't have a choice. And she just said, this is a kidnapping and send him back, and essentially thumbing her nose at Trump. All right, Kevin Liptak joins us live from West Palm Beach, Florida. So the timeline, Kevin, is that Trump said what I just played, and then within 2 hours, we got the statement from Vice President Delcy Rodriguez of Venezuela, which I just played. So now we're awaiting Trump's response to that. What does this actually mean? You are there in Mar-a-Lago with the president. What's the response from him?
Yeah, and I don't think it will be a favorable response from the president. You know, he did sound fairly confident that Rodriguez would be going along with this plan. You know, after that press conference, he gave a phone call to the New York Post, and actually Rodriguez came up in that conversation. He was asked if U.S. troops would be on the ground in Venezuela running that country, and what he said was, quote, "No, if Maduro's vice president, if the vice president does what we want, we won't have to do that."
So now we get this narrative that Trump is some type of dictator now. It's like, even though these people, we clearly can see, now check this out. We clearly see that this move for Venezuela, free Venezuelans, is what the Venezuelan people want. Venezuelan people are happy because Trump is there. The United States is here, actually taking place, like removing this guy from power. But no. This narrative that the Venezuelan people are not happy, it keeps to persist. No matter how much they tell you, nobody's listening to the people. That's the reason why mainstream media, and that's the reason why the Democratic Party, a lot of these established political parties, they don't listen to the people. That's why you had the Tea Party. That's why you got America First. That's why, because now, like the Democratic Party has done so long, they go trotting along and creating a narrative because they don't like Trump that much. I mean, they don't like him that much. They create that level of discord. And all it does is cause chaos in America between people who look at the crap that they talk about. Just chaos.
I wonder, Mr. President, I want to ask you because from your vice president, J.D. Vance, said that the message is pretty clear. The drug trafficking must stop. So was this operation a message?
You know what? Hold on. Let's see what the Venezuelan people are saying before we even get into this.
Okay. As a Venezuelan American, I got some shit to say. My family, my parents, my sister, my extended family, all lost everything. Their work, their savings, their investments, gone. Wiped out by a narco dictatorship that has held Venezuela in a death grip for over 25 years. And what happened to my family has happened to millions, and yes, millions.
And they want you to believe that Cuba and Colombia, that they don't have the same shit going on that they got going on. The exact same type of regime. The exact same type of cartels. Go watch this show on Netflix called Narcos. And there's actually Narcos 1, I think it went for like 3 seasons. And then they had another type of version of Narcos when it was Narcos talking about Mexico. See, some of these movies and these shows, if you look at it, yeah, they expound on some of this stuff, but you can clearly see that the ties between the Colombians, the Venezuelan cartels, the Mexican cartels, they find peace when they talk about money, okay? And in certain areas, they can find a way to work. Yeah, they do war against each other for however it is, but they also hold one thing in common. They got the government under there. This is not like the United States, my people, where they can come knocking on your door if you have meth in your house and you make meth or some crazy stuff like that. These jokers have meth houses, and the government ain't gonna do shit because they bought and paid for. The
Venezuelan exodus is the second largest displacement crisis on earth after Syria. This is not just a tragedy. It is one of the great humanitarian disasters of our time. But the suffering doesn't end there. This regime has jailed hundreds of political prisoners. Thousands have been murdered simply for speaking out. More than a third of the population has fled. 1/3. Not for better opportunities or for the American dream, but to survive, to live, because staying often means death. And while the world may see Venezuela as a collapsed state, what it is in reality is an occupied one. Our territory, our natural resources, and our institutions have been overrun by hostile foreign powers. Iranian militias, Chinese corporations, Russian intelligence, all exploiting our country with impunity. Venezuela is no longer just a local crisis. It is now a geopolitical threat that endangers the entire Western Hemisphere. It has become a launch pad for an authoritarian expansion in the Americas. And in the midst of all of this, one woman has dared to lead the charge for freedom. Maria Corina Machado. In 2024, against every odd, she led a peaceful democratic uprising that won the election. Her team smuggled physical voting receipts out of the country, hard proof of victory that the regime tried to bury.
And she ended up, I was looking at, literally, just recently, I think she got the Nobel Prize and she gave it to Trump. And she ended up fleeing the country. She was worried about her daughter. Her daughter was able to get word out that she was okay once her daughter met up with her. But imagine having to flee the country because you won the presidency, but the cartels are so entrenched, you can't take presidency because they don't want anything going against their agenda.
Her courage has lit a fire in the hearts of millions of Venezuelans desperate to believe that change is still possible. But now some have questioned her decision to dedicate her Nobel Prize to Donald Trump. Okay, I get that. But here's the truth. It was a brilliant strategic move in the global chessboard of politics. Maria Corina is no fool. She knows exactly the kind of man Trump is. She knows how much he campaigned for it, loudly and relentlessly, to win that very same prize. She knows how symbolic and personal that recognition is to him. And precisely because of that, she understood that this gesture might be the thing that keeps his attention focused on Venezuela at a time when U.S. presence and pressure in the Caribbean is rising. She didn't dedicate that award to flatter him. She did it to protect and preserve the one kind of power that could help shift the course of history. Because for her, this isn't about pride. It's not about optics. It's about freedom. And let's be very clear. Maria Corina is not asking for the U.S. to invade Venezuela.
And I think when I looked at, hold on, let's go to the next one. When you look at it, it's easy to turn around and to point the finger and say, hey, Trump is doing this because he's trying to get money, trying to get that bag. I believe Trump is trying to get that bag. I believe that he's really just going into a space right now.
Now a message to my English-speaking friend.
If it can be a win-win and he can expand the territory. Look, let's dial this back for a second. We have to come to a place as just Americans, Black Americans, and realize that there is a lot that's happening outside of America that African Americans, even some white Americans, even whites, they're not up to date on. And it's easy, I get it, because when you come from the hood, when you come from certain places, when you never was really exposed to that, for someone to say, hey, you need to know what's going on in geopolitics because it does affect your pocketbook. Matter of fact, it affects your real estate. It affects your block. It affects the land that you own. It affects all of that. You scratch your head and you wonder, some people like, I don't even own real estate, or I may own it and my mom may own it, or I sold my last house. They don't care. Geopolitics and what's taking place with them directly affects us. Because Trump had to make these moves, and I looked at it clearly. I was looking at it. I said, damn, you got China already that's beating in the doors of Venezuela and South America. China's literally loaning money to a lot of these countries. They've done it for African countries. They do it a lot for African countries. They put them in a huge amount of debt, or they build some type of economic freeway that allows them to funnel money through them. So when they come, the Chinese government comes in full force. They now have a foothold in that area. To have China have a foothold in Venezuela and South America, in some of these South American countries, and they do have it already. Don't get it twisted. If the cartels are owned by, if the governments are owned by the cartels, you got to believe the cartels will do business with whomever, and they'll do business with China also. They'll do business with China. They'll do it. Why wouldn't they? Their common enemy is the United States. Why wouldn't they? It doesn't benefit them not to. Why? Why wouldn't they? They have a good reason to do business with cartels, I mean, I'm saying when cartels have good business reason to do business with China every time. And Trump knows that because the more you take the largest oil reserve, and we got to realize this too, our relationship should be strategic. Look, I keep jumping on this, but that's the reason why we had NATO. That's the reason we got this issue with NATO. Trump said they needed to pay what they wasn't paying. And they wasn't paying it because we were flipping the bill, most of it. Why is it that is an issue with allies that can't pay? Like, we're like, hey, we have a problem with forcing our allies to pay their bills. They're not really strong enough to even be our allies if they can't really cover a certain bill. They can't cover the money. They can't cover the bag. They can't. So we've got to get in position for China. China's going to make a move on Taiwan. We are literally, and some people think that we're on the cusp of World War III, a potential World War III. If China makes a move on Taiwan, we will collapse as a country once they have a foothold in Taiwan's chip infrastructure. Man, I'm sitting back listening to Wall Street Trapper today, and he threw this one company out that was a really good company. He threw it right out here, TSM. They built, it's a Taiwanian company, father. Look, my daughter, how she texted me in the middle of a live stream, can her boyfriend go to the mall? No, you can't do nothing, no. You can't do that, no. Listen, I'm big. Hold on 1 second. Hey, I'm on a live stream, babe. Are y'all on the way to the mall and you're telling me, or are you guys already at the mall? Or you want to go to the mall? Okay.
I'm coming home now. I'm asking, can you come over so we can go to the mall?
Why don't you call your mom and ask her if it's cool? I'm cool with it. Okay. This is what I don't want. You guys are gonna go out. You go to the mall, come back. Don't clown around.
No, we're coming back. No, Dad, I have to start on my hair by 6 p.m. We're coming back. We're meeting up with some friends at the mall too, so it's not.
I expect you to make good decisions. You hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll talk. You gotta be hands in, and I know it's a lot. Honestly, we look at it. You gotta. Most of us, we have families, or we've got careers, we got businesses. Juggling that and then staying up to date on what's happening globally, it does. For me, it affects me. I love checking it out because I've had rehabbers who've done my basement and done some of my projects out of Venezuela. And I kind of wondered, I was like, okay, both of them coming from Venezuela. What's going on? Like one of my contractors, when I found out he was Venezuelan special forces, ex-special forces for Venezuelan, and boy, I couldn't help but talk to him like, hey man, what's going on? What happened? So he started telling me a lot of stuff about Venezuela and things like that, but always getting approached by cartels or cartel related people in that type of space because Venezuelan ex-special forces, you've got a unique set of skills, right? That's what you expect. In the United States also, I'm not talking about going back to Venezuela to visit and being approached. In the United States, it's a lot of stuff that we really we take for granted, but we're so inundated with our everyday lives. Why is this important? This is important on various reasons, on various posts, but it's going to affect, off the top, it's going to affect our oil reserves, our ability, because Trump will run Venezuela. I'm telling you, he will run Venezuela until he deems it's okay to give it back to the VP. I'm sitting back to watch. How is this going to affect the VP and her standing with some of these cartel heads? Are we going to see a lot of smoke that comes from CNN concerning it? Because they will easily ignore the fact that people have been liberated.
Because I'm already seeing people are organizing protests, hands off Venezuela, let's defend Maduro, we love dictators. Do not for a moment.
Hey, like, follow. Leave a comment, guys. Definitely, I shout you out on any of those super chats.
Your hatred and disdain for Donald Trump, an unsavory character, have you defending the dictator of my country that was destroyed by him and Chavez and their system 20 years ago. We Venezuelans are very, very happy that our dictator has been arrested, removed, and will be put through a trial. It's the first time we're seeing justice in 26 years. Now let's hope that they get the rest of the criminals out of Venezuela, and then we can return home.
But if you tell that, if you tell that to liberals, it's very arrogant to believe that you now need to hold the United States accountable for freeing people in a foreign country that needed to be freed. That their freedom and their liberty benefits us as well as them. It is very arrogant. I think it's the most arrogant thing that you could actually do.
Venezuela. People are criticizing Trump for what he did in Venezuela. They say he bombed and kidnapped our president. No. Let me be clear. That man was never our president. He's a dictator. We didn't vote for him. Our elections were stolen. And when we protested, our kids were sent to prison. Minors were tortured. Girls were forced to prostitute themselves in prisons just to get food, to get a piece of bread. And where were all of you then? Where were all of you, liberals? Where were all of you? Where were all of you? You said nothing. You did nothing. But now you suddenly care about international law? I mean, now you all talk about human rights? Maduro didn't lead Venezuela. He kidnapped an entire country. So, no, Trump didn't kidnap anyone. No, he did not. He removed our kidnapper. And for that, we're thankful. You can divide politics all you want. But don't tell Venezuelans, do not tell Venezuelans how to feel about being free from a dictatorship.
Maduro, out! My family's still in Venezuela, and I've been looking for...
How do people in our country possess the level of arrogance to believe the narrative, their self-proclaimed narrative, that some of these countries are better off not having American intervention in any way, shape, or form? But yet, here, we advocate, we let them come over, and then tell them what's going on here isn't fair. We really should care about all the people. And it's weird. Like, to me, when I was looking, I said it's only convenient for them when it's convenient. When it fits their narrative, it's only a convenient thing. And America can be brainwashed every freaking day. Think about it. Through propaganda that paints the narrative that this is something that was evil that was done.
To the stage for so many years. Thank you, President Trump.
I'm so happy because now Venezuela is free.
People have been gathering to celebrate the fall of Nicolas Maduro's regime. Many of the people here told me they fled Venezuela either during Maduro's regime or during that of his predecessor, Hugo Chavez. Behind me, you'll see people chanting. Just a few moments ago, they were chanting, "It's fallen, the regime has fallen." The mood here is absolutely ecstatic.
I don't know how the regime has fallen when the VP is still in place. That's the one I don't quite get. I don't see how that works out.
El pueblo finalmente está libre. El pueblo llora por su libertad. Gracias a los Estados Unidos por liberarnos. Y viva la libertad. Oye, el dictador cayó. Finalmente. Estamos libres, estamos libres.
They don't look like they're upset about too much right now.
My grandma, my family, I have many people that died because the situation in Venezuela, relative, many people, this impact us in a way that you cannot imagine. We never will imagine that this will finish in this way, but we are very happy, and we now are in peace because we can combat and we will combat to Venezuela, to rebuild our country, to make a better Venezuela.
We've been fighting for more than 2 decades to try to overthrow this dictatorship. While it looks like they're just invading and, you know, wreaking havoc in a country, that's not the case. No one else has done anything to break this dictatorship that's had us under terror, under torture.
Under terror and under torture. How many times have you seen on the mainstream CNN and MSNBC videos of Venezuelans under terror and torture? They never spoke. I know I haven't seen anything about it prior to that. I know. Nobody ever, there was never a crisis, sort of like when Nicki Minaj went, and we'll talk about Nicki, went on and started talking about what was happening to Christians in Nigeria. There was never, nobody ever, no, there was none at all. That's crazy. It's crazy that now there is so a obsession with discrediting Trump's run in helping Venezuelan people get free. Even though Trump still hasn't removed the regime. They just took the head off of the regime.
Led the economy to the ground. No one else has done anything. So whether it's the ideal outcome for some people or whether it's not, the fact stands that this is the only opportunity that we have had to actually get freedom.
We don't know when is your last day when you live there in Venezuela. You don't know if you're going to make it home, if you go to uni or if you go to buy bread, you know? So I think we've been living scared for so long, and that's why we're not scared to open up our mouths right now and say we're happy, we're celebrating that Maduro what was taken, and we're really excited for what's come for Venezuela.
It's not about the president of Venezuela, it's about what's happening in Latin America. That a country can come and take on to a president and take him away. It's about the sovereignty of a country that needs to be left alone. The country can resolve their own issues. I think the issue of or the reasons for this of saying that it's to do with drugs is not true.
You know, one thing I also noticed is you had people like her that actually jump up and say that it's not true, that the drug situation wasn't true, and they're Venezuelans. And what I found out and discovered as I kept dialing it back and peeling back the onion is that most of these guys, all of them really, are socialists or communists in Venezuela, and they're definitely supporters of Maduro. And they won't. Their job is to keep the peace and side with the government when it comes to anything that the government does, and to create the narrative that there isn't a cartel halo that hangs over the government. Okay, that's it. So they'll refer to themselves as comrade, you know, or comrade Maduro. When they start saying that, that's the same comrade language, rhetoric that Madani people use it. They call comrade. Think about it. Think about it.
It's about oil, and it's about taking the resources of the country.
Y'all ain't doing nothing with those reasons.
Was a season where we don't have electricity, like in your area, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you are not going to have electricity in your house from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. And on Wednesday, for 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. And we live with that for so.
Imagine living like that. No utilities for hours in the house. Imagine living on that grid.
Same with the water. The water is coming just 1 hour, 12 to 1. You need to take all the water that you need at that time to drink, to clean, to shower, to do everything in 1 hour. We won't need to say goodbye anymore to our families in the airport. Tell them, see you soon, knowing that it's a lie, because
you can't argue that it's about oil, because even the regime has not even used the oil money that they quote unquote, everybody's screaming that this is about oil, to improve the infrastructure of the country. Again, I'll say it, Venezuela has the largest documented oil reserve in the world, guys. And their infrastructure is this shitty.
you don't know how long it will happen until you see them again. We celebrate them because we grow up normalizing things that could never be normal, like going to the supermarket and don't find nothing on it, like have all the money that you have in your pockets, but you want to buy food and it's no food in there, knowing that you need to go and do lines at 4 a.m. in the morning, huge lines to get a bag with food, knowing that it's no medicines in the pharmacy and you need to find antibiotics in Facebook. Narcoterrorism, corruption, he stole billions of dollars. He killed a bunch of innocent people in protest. He put on jail, he tortured. Venezuela have one of...
Y'all need to stop it. Y'all just gotta stop it with this craziness, just this absurd belief that Trump came and did something to these people. Are you listening to this? This is crazy.
The biggest torture places, recruitments in the war. Yeah, that very old wise, he's still doing that. He destroyed every democratic institution that can exist in Venezuela. We vote. We have presidential election and he lose and he don't want to leave the power. So what's no other way to take him out? I am more than happy because we tried everything. This was like our last hope. This is what we was waiting for and finally happened. And I am more happy because I feel was a smooth intervention. I thought was going to be more chaotic like with Panama years ago, but no, they reached 2 a.m. in the morning. By 3 a.m. they take the man out. They don't kill nobody. It's not even a civil person dead. So yeah, I am. A lot of people asking about the oil. All the Venezuelans know that Trump is doing this because the oil. We know this. We know that Trump is not doing this because I love Venezuelans and I care so much about them. We know that it's about the oil. But we are right now giving our oil to China and Russia, and we don't see benefits from it.
So they give the oil to China and to Russia. So all you guys screaming about oil is about the oil. They give the oil to China and to Russia with no benefit to the people. No infrastructure build out. That's why I said China is simply going into these countries, creating relationships to under the guise that it benefits the country better, roping them into debt or bartering some type of deal where they get their natural resources through oil, through whatever it may be, through exchange, to tie it up. That's it. And when a cornball tells you, and I'm telling y'all this, when cornballs tell y'all that it's about the oil, say, hell yeah, it's about the oil. Because it is about the oil. You can either have that oil in your car or that oil can be on a boat headed somewhere to China. You decide.
It's destroyed. We have nothing. We need to leave and run away and live somewhere else because there's no opportunities there. If the United States want to go back and do it, but it's China, Russia, whatever doing right now, go back. Because when the United States was there and was Halliburton and all these American companies in Venezuela, we were rich. We have money. We have opportunity.
Whoa! When the United States was there, they were rich. They had money. They had opportunities. Hilbert. See, it's a different thing between when you break a deal with, I keep saying this, with these communist countries, with these countries like China. They don't care. They don't really pay the people. And then when they get paid and they got the money in their account, you have infrastructure issues which should have been fixed because they brokered deals with the government to come in. They have infrastructure issues where the money in their pocket It doesn't matter. They can't spend it. The supply chain is broken. We have to realize that when we play on a larger scale in the US, and the US has always been about this, we've got soft. We got really soft after after Reagan, honestly. Bush and Father Bush, yeah. Son Bush, too much of a people pleaser. So for that reason, we didn't get a chance to create these deals that we're talking about and have these footholds in these areas. We have to have this. That is the nature of our country. It's not going away. They need to stop lying and stop complaining. I like it to address this when there's abuse. If there is an abuse issue with the power, then let's talk about it. If we're going there and the people aren't getting the money and we're leaving it worse than what it was, let's talk about it. I'm okay for having that conversation. I want to see how the United States deal plays out in the Congo also. I want to see that. Then we can have those deeper conversations. But there's really nothing to talk about.
All the Venezuelans that leave the country because this man and this man regime can go back home. You don't have idea of all the Venezuelans that wanna go back home. You think like we love that in Trinidad they tell us Venice go back home, or they treat us bad. It's not just in Trinidad, sorry. This is like across the world, because I understand we are everywhere. We are everywhere because we was forced to be everywhere except home. I had more comments to answer, but a lot of the questions are about the oil, so I wanna tell you this. Put yourself on the shoes of an actual Venezuelan person. Put yourself in my dad's shoes that worked 3 years to build something, that study hard and work hard, and then one day for the other lose everything, have no job and have no option because at his age he cannot leave the country and start to work somewhere else because he's an old person, right? He don't lose just his job, he don't lose just the money, he lose his family because he can see his daughter just one time per year because he's
horrible. Just horrible. Just horrible. Horrible.
His daughter need to leave the country to look for a better future. And this is not, I am not talking about my dad. I am talking about the reality of every single Venezuelan person. Like the dad of the person that clean your house, your taxi driver that probably is an engineer, a lawyer, a doctor. That reality.
Horrible. Horrible. Man, look at that. They are literally hitting the statue with the hammer for it to fall. The last time I saw something like that was in the Middle East, I believe, when they were bringing down Saddam Hussein's statue. Very similar to that. Funny, huh? Yeah, I can see all of the horrors that the left is talking about over here. I can see the horrors. I can see the trauma in their eyes. Yeah, I can see the trauma in their eyes. You're right. Trump went over there and traumatized them. He left them traumatized. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Trauma. Yeah, man. Yeah. And those are the people who are celebrating. So when I'm looking at the people celebrate over becoming free, over a liberated Venezuela, over a Venezuela. They don't got to put their money into Bitcoin no more and pray that it doesn't swing so hard that they lose half of their money, because they can't do anything with the currency that's there. When I see them celebrate, it makes me happy. It makes me happy because I know so many. It makes me happy. It makes me happy, yo. When I see them celebrate, it makes me happy. It makes me happy. It makes me happy. And then I flip on my TikTok, and the first freaking video is a guy in Georgia filming people who are working, who are out here protesting, invest the actions of the United States government in freeing Venezuelan people. And this is the crazy part about it. I need you to point out for me every Venezuelan you see in this video.
How are you guys? Where are you from, guys? No? Hi, guys. No more war. Where are you from? Here. From here? And why are you protesting right now, today?
No more wars in Venezuela.
No more wars in Venezuela. And you know about the situation in Venezuela?
Yes.
What do you know about the situation in Venezuela? So,
she tells him, don't say anything about it. Don't talk to him.
you want to give me an answer? Because we can talk. I'm not aggressive or anything. I just want to talk, actually. So we have here a group of people that they are protesting because they want no more war in Venezuela. But all these people, there's nobody here from Venezuela. So from all these...
Disregard the comments that are being made. This is what's happening in Georgia. And they're holding the signs, picketing all these people out here. And this Venezuelan guy is asking them who's from Venezuela.
People, nobody is from Venezuela. This is people from United States. This is people from other places. But there's no people from Venezuela. And actually, I am from Venezuela. Andrés Bermúdez Portillo from Maracaibo, Venezuela. I spent time in jail because of the regime of Nicolás Maduro. We have 25 years with a dictatorship. And right now, in the moment that somebody take attention of that situation, people decide to protest because they don't want war. So in the past 5 years of 30 million of people that live in Venezuela, more than 10 million leave the country. So these people is right now protesting because they don't want that we, the Venezuelan people, recover our freedom.
Wow. So first, the message is Trump is doing an evil thing for evading Venezuela and taking the president out. And they're saying it's for foreign war. These are the same people. Their base is all about helping the migrants. All about helping the people from other countries. Look at them. Now they turn on y'all. All about it. If they were all about helping the migrants that came in, why the hell can't they see the benefit of what's taking place? No, because Trump's behind it. And if Trump says it, then it definitely must be so. It must be so.
Oh, no. These people don't want that Venezuela be free. These people is just here because they want to attack Donald Trump. And they want to use the name of my country and the name of my people to do this without caring about all the people that has died and is suffering right now in a jail in Venezuela because of this regime.
And this is popping up all over the country. All over the country. This is just one. This is just one video. This is popping up all over the country. I got a couple more ones. Let me put another one up here. And when I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is insane. It is freaking insane. But it is. It's popping up.
Officer! Officer! Oh, look. The same guy who wants to defund the police is calling for the officers. Ah, look at you fucking loser. You carrying a fucking Venezuelan flag. You don't even...
The same one that's saying defund the police is calling for the police.
You're not even from there. You idiot. Speak to real Venezuelans so you can see how they feel. You fucking dumbass. I wish you touched me. I wish you would touch me with that flag. I wish.
So you get perspective. This gentleman is standing up in New York, carrying a Venezuelan flag, saying that advocating, protesting against the United States being in Venezuela. And he's not Venezuelan, nor does he speak a lick of Venezuelan, and he will not even speak to a Venezuelan about this topic. This is what you guys are breeding over in New York. This is what they're breeding in New York. So you can clearly see what's happening and the hypocrisy in it.
Nos acercamos a un grupo de personas acá en Nueva York que están protestando porque Donald Trump tiene dicen ellos, una invasión en Venezuela. ¿Qué parte de Venezuela es usted? ¡Ay, sí, Venezuela! ¿Usted habla español? No. No habla español. No habla español. ¿Usted habla español? ¿Y por qué tiene una bandera de Venezuela?
He doesn't even speak Spanish. And I thought the subtitles was on this, but it obviously wasn't. So, but I can pretty much make out some of what they said.
¿Usted no habla español entonces? Tampoco. No habla español usted tampoco. ¿Y usted habla?
So they're all holding the flag, anti-war in Venezuela. What kind of people do we have in this country? Who have we let into this country to help paint this type of narrative? Who?
Are you a bunch of right-wingers?
No, I'm not a right-winger.
What do you want to know?
I just want to know about your sign. What makes you want to say no war with Venezuela?
Okay, first of all, it's not about drugs. Very little drugs come out of Venezuela. I've traveled. I just came back to Bolivia. Very little coca leaves is grown in Venezuela.
This chick said very little coca leaves and drugs come out of Venezuela. Why don't she ask the Venezuelan people?
Only about 5% of the drug trade is going through Venezuela. Most of it is now being exported out through Ecuador in tankers. Huge amount that's going to Europe. Why are they not bombing the tankers? Why are they bombing fishing boats? It's just a bunch of lies. It's unbelievable what's going on. Trump just friggin' pardoned the biggest narco trafficker, the ex-president of Honduras. This isn't about drugs. It's unbelievable. And how can you go and kidnap a president from a country? It's unprecedented. I mean, they can just go to any country they want to just bomb it and kidnap it. It's unbelievable what's going on.
What do you say? Because
if you try to explain to them that he's under indictment, that by the U.S. government, which is the most powerful military and government in the world, which she has the liberty to stand up right now and hold a flag because of the Constitution, she would think you crazy. She would think you crazy. Oh no, you shouldn't go over there. Leave those people alone.
I'm seeing both sides. What do you say to the right-wingers that say, what war with Venezuela? The war was over. Like that there is no war with Venezuela.
No, but right now there's a war. We're bombing it. We're bombing Venezuela right now. That's war, you know? Yeah. So it's just who they're picking. I mean, most of the drugs are coming.
We bombing Venezuela right now. See, these are the loonies that you...
out of Peru and Ecuador. I spent time in Peru, I spent time in Ecuador, I just came back from Bolivia. I spent time in all these countries. Venezuela is one of the countries with the least amount of drug trafficking going through. It's made up, it's lies.
You seem like you know your stuff, and so I'm personally quite confused because I see in the streets of Venezuela, people are celebrating what has happened. Is that just a minority of people that are celebrating? What's exactly going on?
Well, I've never been to Venezuela. I spent a lot of time in Bolivia. You know, there are people that
Oh, so she's never been to Venezuela, but she got a comment.
money in Venezuela that are, you know, when they not private, when they publicize stuff, the rich people are the ones that are going to be losing the money. And they've gone into Bolivia just now, the United States government. They got a new president, and they're going in and trying to invest as well. And none of that investment's going to do anything for the Bolivians. The same thing, you know. I'm not a supporter. You know, we should not be in Venezuela right now bombing. There's absolutely no reason. We could go to any country and bomb just because we don't agree with the president there. You know what I mean?
Do you believe that Tren de Aragua and gangs like that are active in the United States, or do you not think that's true?
Well, I don't know, but it's being used by Trump. All this whole thing, the gangs, drug war, narco trafficking, is being used by Trump. Okay, I worked the border. I worked the frontera when the families were coming through. I mean, it's just absolute lies that are coming through. Like a lot of the immigrants that were crossing the border were coming up to work in this country, and they're using this whole gang thing. You know what I mean?
They're using this whole gang thing. A lot of them, they're good people crossing over the border. They were using this whole gang thing. Girl, did you see the story about the guy who actually, the cartel guy who owned 4 or 5 Mexican restaurants? One was in Foley, Alabama. And I know Foley because I used to live in Pensacola. So I used to go straight through Foley. Foley, Alabama, South Georgia, going into that Macon area, one in Texas. So they bust one of the places. And legit, it's a Mexican restaurant. In the back of it is nothing but drugs, guns. And the workers was like, we can't believe this. And this is in the back of the Mexican restaurant. I'm like, this shit has to stop. Why is America, what's up with this? What's up with this? A white liberal lady who already has decided that she has it figured out, that she's here for the minorities to protect them, an extreme amount of white guilt makes a person ignore the natives of the land and what they're saying, and now create a narrative because of their hate for the president.
Congratulations. Well done.
Wow. This is some real deep shit. This is really deep. This is really deep. And I only see it. I see a lot of just white liberals doing this. You white liberals, I mean, I don't know what it is. Honestly, don't protect them. Don't protect nobody. Stop feeling guilty about being white. Liberals, stop it. White liberals, stop feeling guilty about being white. I don't feel guilty about my blackness because I enjoy being black. I'm happy I'm black. It doesn't matter if the odds are stacked against me from your narrative. I don't want to be in no other flesh but this. I've been here for 47 years and I want to continue this. And I wish you would feel the same way. I wish you wouldn't take the guilt and the burden from your forefathers and what they did. We understood there were assholes and there's assholes everywhere. Stop it. It makes you get caught on camera doing stupid stuff like this and people like me reacting to it. Okay, leave a comment. Leave a comment.
You said that they're coming to. You're saying that they're coming to work, right?
They were. When I was there, they were coming to work in farms in Florida. I speak Spanish. I asked most of the people what they were doing because I'm interested. I've traveled in Guatemala. I've traveled all those countries. It's just the lies that are coming out and the hypocrisy of this Trump is just unbelievable.
I agree.
Damn. Damn. Whoa. That's deep. That's really, really deep, yo. That is really, really deep. That's really, really deep. Wow.
I wonder, Mr. President, though, I want to ask you because from your vice president, J.D. Vance, said that the message is pretty clear. The drug trafficking must stop. So was this operation a message that you're sending to Mexico, to Claudia Sheinbaum, the president there?
Well, it wasn't meant to be, and we're very friendly with her. She's a good woman, but the cartels are running Mexico. She's not running Mexico. The cartels are running Mexico. And we could be politically correct and be nice and say, oh, yes, she is. No, she's very, she's very frightened of the cartels. They're running Mexico. And I've asked her numerous times, would you like us to take out the cartels? No, Mr. President. No, please. So we have to do something because we lost. The real number is 300,000 people, in my opinion. They like to say 100,000. 100,000 is a lot of people, but the real number is 300,000 people. And
so CNN and mainstream media, they don't believe what he's saying right now. No, this is not true. Let's tell everybody. Then you get clowns in the street picketing because of this. Okay.
We lost it to drugs, and they come in through the southern border, mostly the southern border. Plenty come in through Canada, too, by the way, in case you don't know. But they come in through the southern border, and something's going to have to be done with Mexico.
Why did you decide to do this morning?
Are you talking about calling you people or the shot?
No,
You're talking about calling y'all because I had y'all on the calendar to call. I had y'all.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure which is worse. If you want to know the truth, I'm calling you. I haven't spoken to anybody else because Charlie Hurd has been a great friend of mine for a long time. He was with me when it was not fashionable, and those are the people I like. He was with me, Charlie, when it was not at all fashionable. So that's the reason I'm doing this. And your show is great. You're doing a great job. What a good team.
But I meant, why did you make the decision to take out Maduro this morning? And what was Maduro doing when our guys came in on him?
So we were going to do this 4 days ago, but the weather was not perfect. The weather has to be perfect. And we had just the perfect weather. We had, very good. A little bit few more clouds than we thought, but it was good. We waited 4 days. We were going to do this 4 days ago, 3 days ago, 2 days ago. And then all of a sudden it opened up and we said go. And I'll tell you, it was just amazing. And what was he doing? He was in a very highly guarded, like a fortress, actually. He was in a fortress. That we had nobody killed was amazing. I think we had nobody killed, I have to say, because a couple of guys were hit, but they came back and they're supposed to be in pretty good shape.
You gotta love this guy. I mean, I don't see how you cannot love this strength. Like, come on, dude. Come on, man. What, like, the rest of them, I believe that we just want access to information that will compromise what was done and what could potentially be done. And it frustrates those people who don't have access to it. CNN, some of these liberals out here doing some crazy stuff.
But that we had nobody killed, that we lost no aircraft. Everything came back. We got it all back. One of them was hit pretty hard, but a helicopter, but we got it back. But it just was the right time to do it. We had to do it because it's a war. We're losing 300,000 people a year. We don't lose that much in a war, okay, if you look. And we had to do it. But he was in a... that he didn't get into that. We were prepared. We had, massive blowtorches and everything else that you need to get through that steel, but we didn't need it. He didn't make it to that area of the house.
Mr. President, your war on narco-terrorism from our southern border and beyond clearly will save American lives. Moving forward for Venezuela, what do you think is next for the Venezuelan people now that you have removed Maduro so that he can face American justice?
Well, we're making that decision now. We can't take a chance on letting somebody else run and just take over where he left or left off. So we're making that decision now. We'll be involved in it very much. And we want to do liberty for the people. We want to, have a great relationship. I think the people of Venezuela are very, very happy because they love the United States. They were run by essentially a dictatorship or worse. It couldn't have been worse. It was a terrible thing that was taking place in Venezuela. But look, tremendous numbers of people were being killed through drugs. And what they did to our country in sending prisoners and people from mental institutions and drug lords and everything. They send them by the hundreds of thousands of people into our country. And that is just unforgivable. That's why, he wanted to negotiate at the end, and I didn't want to negotiate. I said, nope, we got.
That is the reason why he was having those conversations with Maduro. Because if you remember earlier, he had several conversations with Maduro. And in those conversations, he said, yeah, I talked to him. Yeah, we spoke. And he just went on, just continued. Like, that was it. I always wondered about those conversations because the way that he presented it and the way it was presented, it was like, I am done and I'm not here to listen to anybody else talk smack. And he's been doing that. And I think he was set to take Maduro out before he even became president. That's what I personally believe. This was probably one of the things that was on their agenda going in. They knew they were going to do it. They knew. They just needed the opportunity. And it's cool to, in my opinion, because when you start getting into this midterm and just before it, this guy has consistently ran really hard from being in office, knowing that he's on a time frame to get a lot of this stuff done. Whether you agree with it or not, he has probably been the most hardest working president I've seen, getting things accomplished, whether you like it or not. See, a lot of people I find that don't like it, they don't have a real good sense of self-accountability. Like, typically I find the people that are angry and upset with it, they blame other people for their issues, such as like Trump is responsible for my well-being. Just like you can't make your wife happy and you're not responsible for their happiness, Trump isn't responsible for your well-being, okay? And when you get that in your head, then you can navigate what's laid out before us. The shift in the monetary market, shift when it comes to stocks, the shift that's taking place in real estate, and definitely the shift that's taking place with AI.
Do it. He was trying to negotiate at the end. You probably saw that. And trying hard to make a deal. And I said, this could have been a very foolish thing if it didn't work out. But I said, nope, we can't do it. What he did with drugs is bad. What he did with a lot of other things is bad. But what he did was sending hundreds of thousands of Tren de Aragua and drug dealers. And they emptied out their jails into our country. They emptied out, if you think about it, they emptied out all of their mental institutions into our country. What he did there, and every other thing, is unforgivable.
There you got it.
Welcome back into Live Now from Fox. My name is Karal Lahara. Thanks for joining us on this Monday, January 5th, where we are continuing to follow the breaking news story from over the weekend. Ousted Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro captured and detained by U.S. military members, brought to New York, where he has been held for the past couple of days at the Brooklyn Detention Center. That comes ahead of his initial court appearance later on today at noon. He will be appearing in front of a judge outside of this federal courthouse in downtown Manhattan. We are working to bring on a legal analyst in just a bit, so stand by. In federal court in New York City at 12 p.m. Eastern time on Monday.
So these are the charges that they're bringing against Maduro. So right now, he's down in Manhattan at the courthouse. They got that joker shackled. Matter of fact, when I say they got him shackled, wow. Hold up. Let me flip. They flew that joker in and had him shackled like this. This him. I didn't even show this one. Got him coming out, tight formation. Tight formation. Look at that. That looks like his wife back there, I guess. So they got her also. They got him up front, her. I thought they would have separated them initially. They didn't separate them, but look. Got him. Got him. Tight formation, bringing him out. Look at that. Yeah. So they get him down there, and what, they got the charges against him? Let's get back to these charges real quick. Let him go ahead and read these charges off.
Welcome back into Live Now from...
Let me speed up to that. There you go. So we got the charges
will be arraigned in federal court in New York City at 12 p.m. Eastern time on Monday, so today. That's according to authorities. Maduro faces multiple charges, including narco-terrorism, conspiracy, cocaine importation conspiracy, and weapons offenses following his capture in a daring U.S. military operation. Let's break down all of these charges from a lengthy, almost 25-page indictment. Joining us now is Gerard Filitti. He is the senior counsel at the Lawfare Project. Gerard, good to see you. Good morning.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Of course, a lot to get to. All eyes are on this story today. It was such a big news story over the weekend, but looking ahead to what's going to happen at noon today, let's just start with you explaining a little bit some of those charges that I just discussed here that Maduro is facing.
Well, today he'll be arraigned, which means that he will be presented with the charges against him. These include narco-terrorism conspiracy, cocaine importation and distribution conspiracies, and 2 weapons charges. Now, basically what the government is alleging...
They're going to throw the book at him so hard, they'll probably bury him underneath the jail.
Is that Maduro was the head of a cartel, the Cartel de los Soles, excuse me, and...
Okay. The head of a cartel is different from being a member of a cartel. Keep that in mind. We knew that he was picked up for being the head of a dictator of a country that dealt with cartels and had a drug, the cartels are running the country. But they're saying he's not a political person who, a politician who did the will of the cartel. They said he's the head of his own cartel. Completely different.
As such, he took over the Venezuelan government and engaged in this narco-trafficking conspiracy where he and members of his so-called government, along with terrorist organizations and cartels, were importing drugs into the United States intentionally, and this was providing a great damage, killing people in the United States. This, of course, was benefiting himself and terrorist organizations as well as the drug cartels. So that's the narco-terrorism and that's the cocaine importation. And the weapons charges are related to that. The allegation is that they used or tried to acquire weapons, including machine guns, which they used to enforce their militant policies, to threaten and to kill competitors and to
they had more than machine guns, trust me. More than 1 or 2 machine guns.
Threaten people into paying them.
Gerard, obviously you have had a look at this indictment, about 25-ish pages. I actually have it here in my hand at the moment. Is there anything that stood out to you in particular when you were reading through some of these charges?
Well, what stands out to me is the way the government describes it. They're not looking at this as Maduro being a head of state. They're looking at him as being a head of a drug cartel. And that's a very important distinction, because one of the things that Maduro is likely to argue is that as a sovereign leader of a foreign country, he is immune from prosecution in U.S. courts. Now, that's something that I don't think the court will take into consideration, to be honest, because that's a determination. Whether someone is a head of state is a determination that the executive branch makes. And the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, has made clear, as does this indictment, that they view Maduro as a drug kingpin and not as a legitimate ruler of a country.
So he lost to his competitor. She fled the country. He took and maintained his position. And they're saying he purposely funneled the drugs into the United States, targeting the United States. And I would even say, if you, and I can understand why they would say this. Think about this. Jails, we got Trende, I think, what is it? Trende, Nicaragua, MS-13. We got these groups that came out of Venezuela. Who we track came out of Venezuela. And it's a crazy amount of them. Crazy amount of criminals specifically from Venezuela. So I can say, yeah, it is a targeted, focused attack to bring about a certain outcome. And I mean, he can do it, right? He the president. He attempted to do it. They attempted to do it because he's the president. So he held his presidency while he was, man, that's a daggone good ass movie.
I have a couple of questions that even go off of that last answer, which
They gonna make a movie off of this. They need to. No lie.
is typically, how does U.S. jurisdiction apply in a case involving that foreign head of state?
Well, if it's a legitimately elected foreign head of state that is recognized as such by the U.S. government, typically there is foreign immunity, there's sovereign immunity. There is immunity from the jurisdiction of U.S. courts, and he would not be prosecuted. He would have to waive that jurisdiction willingly. However, this is a determination that's made by the executive branch, by the State Department, by the president, and the courts almost always adhere to whatever the executive determines. It's a political determination made by the executive branch in the United States as to whether someone is a sovereign of a foreign government.
So basically, the president gets to determine if the executive branch gets to determine if he's recognized as a head of state or some type of average criminal. I agree with them recognizing him as an average criminal. And anybody else that doesn't agree with it, you never took the time to actually listen to the person, the young lady who beat him out, the woman who beat him out for presidency, that had to flee with her daughter and her family simply because he was going to kill him. Yeah. I don't think that is any legitimacy in his presidency after that. I don't think there's any legitimacy in his presidency after that. That's my personal opinion. You know, you guys rock with it as you want. All right, cool. So I'm about to hit this. We're about 2 hours, 10 minutes into this. I want to, two things. Y'all tripping. I'm just going to say people are tripping right now. I recently saw Nicki Minaj get 70,000 votes to be deported from the United States in a petition on change.org. I thought this was crazy. Then I went researching it and I saw this Rolling Stones article recently updated. It's up to 120 signatures for Nicki Minaj to be removed from the United States. I think that's insane. I think it's crazy. It's hella crazy. I think it's stupid. And it's interesting to see how these women turn their backs on the female best rapper of all time, who has done nothing but represent women in All Out. And all she did was have an opinion about, one, Christians in Nigeria, two, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance's progression as presidents of the United States of America, VP and president. And that was just a comment she had. And now, I don't know if it's true in its entirety, but there has to be some level of truth to it, that she's confronted by tons and tons of fans who have left her or signed this petition. I personally believe that this is some type of internet bot-driven scheme to discredit her, whether y'all believe it or not. She's already down and good with Trump in the executive branch. She already has shown that she agrees with things with Trump. And it's amazing to me, there's a lot of other celebrities that agree with Trump. But when you have this shaming and this level of fall away that takes place, which they're perpetuating, you think the other ones are going to come out and say nothing? No. Them jokers not going to say nothing. I wouldn't say nothing. Oh, no. I wouldn't. I'll be like, yeah, that dude Trump. Because at the end of the day, right, if you're obsessed with the bag, that's what you would be. But I'm not, so I talk. I mean, that's me. I ain't a celeb. But you cannot ignore that women just flipped on her. Y'all women dragged this woman the undisputed best hip-hop female MC to ever grace the mic, who has not up until this point really did too much to kind of come against females. Yeah, she had her beef with Jay-Z. She had her beef with Rockefeller. I find her beef and her statements to have some level of validness because the industry robs people.
Congratulations. Well
and y'all
done.
still don't want to believe that there's a bunch of robbers and freaking crooks. They just like the freaking Democratic Republic. Yeah, Democratic Republic of DNC. They just like it.
Oh, no.
So when she says that she's tired with that mess and she shows up and has this conversation with Erica Kirk, and y'all don't like Charlie Kirk, so y'all throw her up against the wall with Erica. Like, who cares what you think? I don't believe the numbers that what they're saying left her Instagram account is even the true numbers. I believe it's all staged. It's put together to probably create some level of momentum against Nicki. I don't know. Probably is coming from Rockefeller. Probably is coming from that side. Probably trying to use this to lower her value in the marketplace. But the reality of it is this. Her value ain't getting low. Think about it. All these white boys out here who sat back and looked at Nicki's rump and said, doggone it.
Oh, no.
She on our side now.
Oh, no.
Oh, my goodness. Do you think the same white boys who listen to 50 Cent definitely got their wives, they definitely, and my anaconda don't want none. You think that they care that you put together a petition of 120,000 names out of the millions and millions of people, and it's on change.org? We don't care. I would definitely be one of the first ones to go out there and to write and do every last freaking video in support of Nicki Minaj. You guys are scandalous animals and you deserve to be whipped to the end of your life. And I'm going to take, if I want somebody to go and crash .org, change.org. It's evil. You guys are demonic. And Nicki's a pretty woman. I can get it. You guys hate and dislike all of the pretty girls that don't share the same views that you share. You gotta be. I'm ashamed. I'm appalled at all of y'all. Yeah, take your hits. I'm ashamed. I'm appalled. Nicki Minaj is hip-hop royalty. That's like you kicking out the Queen of England from England. Who does that? Who kicks out the Queen of England from England? Y'all assholes. Y'all twisted mothers. And as far as I'm concerned, as long as I'm live streaming and putting out content, I'm going to be in full support of Nicki Minaj.
Oh, no.
Listen, I don't know what the hate is about, but y'all need to stop it. Rip up the damn petition, throw it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, okay. All right. Y'all going too far. Y'all got a whole petition to deport Nicki Minaj to Trinidad. Hey, man, come on, bro.
Stop it.
Come on, man. No, man. Look, we should not care this much about what Nicki Minaj is doing.
Nicki Minaj is the reason why these BBLs are so popular. Some of y'all said no, it's not. I don't care if you don't believe me or not. Nicki is. She's one of the reasons BBLs are so responsible. You guys were flying over to Venezuela, Cuba, Colombia, Puerto Plata, Puerto Rico, all the places where all the BBLs get BBL'd, okay? Applaud to those places. I'm down for the BBL if it doesn't take your life. Y'all was over, y'all went there because of her. Because y'all knew my anaconda don't want none unless y'all loved it. And now y'all behinds are traitors. You have betrayed the cause.
We should not care this much. It is not that serious, bro. If she want to go over there with them people, let her carry her ass over there with them damn people, man. Ain't nothing wrong. If you disappointed in somebody, fine. But you ain't got to do all that now. Y'all doing too much. Y'all doing way too much now. Come on, man. Some of y'all kids can't read. Some of y'all kids' favorite color is bacon and eggs. Come on, man. Come on, dog. We can't. No, I know, man. A lot of y'all ain't got no jobs. Come on, man.
Y'all need to stop.
I know y'all didn't put that much energy in that. We gonna sign a petition. We need to get her out of here. Hey, look, and y'all know she ain't leaving. Nicki Minaj ain't gonna y'all wasting y'all time. If she up there with Trump now, she ain't going nowhere. What y'all finna turn that in? Y'all know that what y'all signing a petition to give it, y'all gonna give it to Trump to get one of his supporters out the country. Man, come on, dog. Think about this. Think about this. Ice ain't gonna get, I don't care. You can't call nobody, not Ice, not Snowflake, not Ice Cube, Icicle, none of them, man. They not coming. It's just try, focus on the business that pay you. Y'all tripping like, y'all crazy as hell.
The disrespect. Stop it. Stop it right now. This is buffoonery, and you guys are acting like buffoons. Damn well you know ain't nobody gonna grace this mic and rock this mic like Nicki Minaj and represent. And it's cool to have a different opinion about a political leader. If you think herd mentality creates records like Nicki Minaj's record, you guys are sick. You're bamboozled. You didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on you. And I say it with the passion. Leave Nicki alone. Now, let's go over to Jamal Bryant's wife. No, leave her alone too. Real talk. Yeah, I really want to talk about this real quick. Come on. Now, I'm going to tell you. One thing I realized, because this is an Atlanta couple. And you guys got to understand Atlanta always going to have Atlanta drama. Atlanta always going to have Atlanta drama. And I've never in my life agreed with Jamal Bryant on any one thing but this one thing. I ain't see no nipple. I ain't see no hidden secret places and parts. All I saw was a lace black dress covering everything that could be anything with anything.
Congratulations. Well done.
He did a great job in picking out the dress. And some of y'all Christians gonna hate. I already see it already. My other channel already got responses and conversations. Oh no. Jamal Bryant this. Jamal Bryant that. Listen, I am not the fan of Jamal Bryant. Jamal Bryant isn't one of my favorite cohorts that I know of. But when you leave me a comment and you are upset, we got to turn around and we got to remove that one comment. P.S. It's not just men responding. I'm a beautiful looking and loving sister, and she and him was out of order for wearing that in public. Him as a decent minister and her as a first lady. Keep that bedroom stuff in your house. Because I don't get none. And I'm not happy about you getting some. So why the heck you trying to spread that happiness in somewhere else? Stop it. Keep that happiness in your bedroom house. The world doesn't need to see that, especially our boys and our girls and some older people with lust problems. Thank you, Evan. Zia. Let me respond back to you. Dear Evan Zia, let me tell you something. It is men and it is women that are hating. It's more men. A lot of these reaction guys, I don't even know why y'all even comment on this. I say it and I will say it again. Please do not use one scripture line by Paul in Romans or Hebrews to go ahead and to speak about this situation. The problem is most of them have ugly wives who comment on this any damn way. They don't get any, nor will they ever be getting any. They don't care. I am not a fan of Jamal Bryant. I can never say I've ever listened to a Jamal Bryant sermon. But I fully back Jamal Bryant in this. Let Jamal Bryant be Jamal Bryant. At the end of the day, you guys don't pay tithe at his church. Y'all don't give offering at his church. And 95% of the time, as a guy who grew up in the Christian church, yes, in the Catholic church too, that's how we got free religion. That's how we got free tuition in Catholic school. Yes. As someone that was there, I will clearly tell you, you guys are making a big issue off of nada. Because most of y'all don't even listen to him anyway. And it's not the fact that most of y'all just don't listen to him anyway. It's the fact that I look at him and then I look at you. And very few people who comment or have the position to do it. Now, I'm telling you, I say it again. I was in the AME church when Jamal Bryant's father was actually head of the AME church. I was a young whippersnapper going from church to church, giving a good little Martin Luther King I Have a Dream speech, and then they would throw down $5, $10 at the end of the altar, and I make a little bit of money. The time has come to an end. Jamal Bryant don't care about what you got to say. Honestly, he shouldn't care about what you have to say. Because when you guys give your comments because we're in a commenting society, everybody has an opinion. I get it. I would want my wife to rock out to say, look, she dress. She popping. If that's the way he wants to dress her, if she's 100% cool with it, let her rock. Let them rock.
Congratulations. Well
and all I'm going to say is
amazing. Incredible. Outstanding. Amazing.
Your attempts to control lust demons of people who don't have any attempting to control their lust demons make your attempting to control their lust demons futile. Who cares? If that is going to put you into a place where you're concerned with lust demons, Negro, you need to turn off Netflix, you need to turn off Prime, and you better not go and watch any of these cheating soulless cheater shows that come out on YouTube. You better stay away. Because it's stupid. It's dumb. When you have a banging wife, when your wife is fly as heck, and there's a lot of men out here, I follow another couple, the husband, I think he's, Mr. Workout, Mr. Train, it's a bunch of them. Their wives are in videos looking just like that. Nobody say anything about it because they not pastors. Y'all put too much damn pressure on these doggone pastors and preachers. Y'all pressure them like they got the answers. And I keep trying to tell y'all ain't gonna find none of these answers unless you get in the presence of God. You ain't gonna find no peace for your soul until you have a relationship and not these words in a book that you just quote and throw up on people whenever you want to.
Congratulations. Well done.
You gotta stop it. You got to. Because I don't want to hear none of your freaking comments about Jamal Bryant. Now, in this video, leave a comment below. You're welcome to leave it. I want to hear what you got to say. Do you feel the same way I feel about it? But I've listened to your other comments because it's not on my video. And I'm just laughing. I'm laughing because I always see it from the busted women, or I may see it from the guys that everybody know you don't get none. Let the man do what he do. Make it do what you do, Smokey. That's his church. He has his personal relationship with God. And that's what y'all don't get. All of this stuff, y'all rule keeping, y'all, I kept this rule and the rule says she can't look better than me. I'm going to tell you, you think that these women dress, you think she's dressing for the men, the lust dreaming of the men? No. She don't want your man. Tell Grandpa stay in his pool, in his chair in the pulpit. They don't want the man. She ain't dressing for the man. She dressing for the women that's going to look at Jamal and say, "Oh, he got a podcast. He do 8. Oh yeah, that's the minister." She letting them know, "Hey, listen, you better come correct because I got it on lock." And you know what? I applaud her. I let me hold on real quick. Hold on. Yes, she gets an applause for me. And I will give her applause and I'll raise a hand. I'm like, because at the end of the day, we created this in the church. Y'all guys think that y'all the Holy Spirit and y'all think y'all God and y'all use your level of guilt, condemnation, holding up your nose to govern and direct not just pastors like him, but the whole atmosphere when it comes to this Christianity. Like God can't control it himself. Like God needs you to direct them in what to do. Like God care about your opinion. You know that the people that really rock with God, honestly, the first rule lesson number 1 is we don't care about the opinion of people, period. Because that's the easiest way to slavery and bondage that you can ever get. And it always guarantees you a miserable morning, afternoon, and evening. Yeah. If he has any conviction, he'll have it. And honestly, I don't even think he should tell you about it because it ain't none of your damn business. That's it.
Congratulations. Well done.
Rock it, Jamal.
A wife I would rush home to, that I wanted to be excited to see. When we walked in there, I said, "Shake it fast, watch yourself."
Some of y'all ain't happy to get home to your wives at all. Y'all have no happiness there. And it's just all done. And it ain't coming back.
If you don't have nobody that you excited about, trade that booger in and find you somebody that Negroes can talk about. How did you bag that?
How'd you bag that? Boy. Listen, this is going to remain a topic. You got to realize these guys are like Atlanta religious royalty. I don't know what you call it. But I knew Jamal was not playing by any of you guys' rules a long time ago. Like, Jamal needs you to actually talk about this situation and continue to blow it up, Vanity Fair and People Magazine and all those other channels. And I'm cool with that. I think what he's saying and doing, that's his challenge, a kick to the system. You know, that's his challenge kick. I still don't see anything there. Listen, if you see something and you saw something that was pornographic in nature, leave a comment, because I didn't see it.
Let me say to you, I'm a public servant. I've been a public servant my whole life. I don't mind, nor am I offended, nor am I moved if you talk about me. Have at it. But you ain't gonna talk about my wife.
And that's where I stop right there. Jamal, you can't control people from talking about your wife. People are going to talk about it because you guys are tethered together for eternity. And people are just going to say it. But I got what you're saying. You're not going to let it go without you making your own comment. And your comment is you're going to make your own comment about her. And you want it. Listen, nobody just going to talk. And I ain't going to say what I got to say. I ain't mad at Jamal Bryant for that. Matter of fact, all of y'all that have an issue with Jamal Bryant concerning that, listen, the church don't, you guys are not God's enforcers. You're not. Never have and never will be. And we're entering a stage right now, if you don't know and you haven't seen it, pastors are human beings and they just going to screw up. They've been doing it for a long time. But more and more of them will stop caring what you think at all, period. Because if somebody had a videotape of what your wife looked like when you took her out, two things would be true. They'll be crying for you. Or they gonna be hating on you. It ain't gonna be no in between.
Congratulations, well done.
It ain't gonna be no in between. And Jamal Bryant knows, in order to weather the storm of the upcoming years of marriage, Jamal, I've been married 19 years, Jamal, and I'm gonna tell you, I think you only made it one, and then you're throwing up heads and everything. Just weather the next 20 years. Then you're gonna be older. It ain't gonna stay the same, Jamal. Well, let me take that back. She paid a pretty penny for that. It is probably gonna stay the same. But at the end of the day, Jamal, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter. To get what they got to say. Listen to the conviction of the Holy Spirit and keep moving. And if you felt you needed to do that just to peacock, people, it doesn't even matter. It never has mattered and it never will matter, because as long as we got something to talk about, Jamal, you will always be the gift that keeps giving. And this is my first time ever agreeing with Jamal Bryant on anything. Yes, the dress is bad. Yes, his wife is bad in the dress. Now let's move on with life. Because at the end of the day, bro, I'm trying to tell you, and it is still the truth, from somebody who's been married 19 years. I like it when she dresses, she look bad. Oh, Leon, you're not a pastor. He's a pastor. Y'all need to stop worshiping these damn pastors. Y'all need to get into the book and learn it for your doggone self. Because these guys, you don't want to worship them. You don't want them. You got to, because you can't think for yourself. Most of them only push fear, and fear will always keep you in a place where you're always feeling down, depressed, and condemnation. I truly believe the black church has some part to play in the mental health situation that's taking place. They don't really talk about the situation. They don't talk about none of that. Very few do. I've seen some men of God out there, and they're great teachers. There's some really good teachers and there's some bad teachers. But that's just like everything else. You got some really good traders, some bad traders. You got some really good investors, some bad investors. It's just the way it is. Like, follow for the next piece. Leave a comment. I will see you guys on the next video. I very much appreciate just you jumping on here. This is just what I do. Peace.